You are listening to Thunderbolt Sports Talk. Here are your hosts, Charlie Adams and Timothy Yeen.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of Thunderbolt Sports Talk. We're back where we belong on the podcast in period 1 on Friday morning. Right back where it started. It's a new semester, a new season of Thunderbolt Sports Talk, but there's plenty to talk about, Tim.
There is plenty to talk about, and let's talk first about esports since, of course, we are in the second semester. Girls basketball team losing 69-39 to Chariho, but in good news, Maya Jimenez, 25 points in the outing. She is 44 away from reaching the 1,000-point mark, which she should be able to obtain next week, so that's fantastic for her. And other East news, Mount Pleasant beating Cranston East 48-41. Cranston East, again, the third quarter shenanigans, I like to call it, just are unable to, connect or, gel in the third quarter, it seems. Just a really bad quarter led to a decent fourth quarter, but Mount Pleasant still outperformed them, especially when it came to the crunch time clutch shots that were needed to make Drew Barry dropping 15 there. But a game earlier than that, girls basketball 64-32 win versus Woonsocket. They beat them by a larger margin, we can say, last year, 70-3. So
That was a classic.
a classic one. I think it was our most liked post for a while. Not sure if it is now, but when you ever beat somebody 78-3, it usually gets enough likes. And last game I want to talk about, Bolts boys basketball beating East Greenwich 49-48. Albert Kessie dropping 20 points on the night there. Darian Peterson following with 14. And that's really all in terms of the basketball world we really have to cover.
Well, I'm hoping that game when Maya Jimenez is going to break the 1,000-point mark, that we have some great attendance in the Venatulo gym from the Cranston East faithful. That's a big milestone that hasn't been hit by a Cranston East girls basketball player since Mackenzie Richards did it a few years back, and there's no student in this school currently who has seen some history-making performance like that, so hopefully we get a good turnout when that game goes down.
Yeah, the great thing is both games are at home and they will be broadcasted for everyone to see. So it's really a must-watch game, both those two, especially the second one, which, if she continues her averages, I feel like that's going to be the game that she will get it. And, like you said, Chaz, Mackenzie Richards, the last person to do it back in 2017. And we also have some extra news there. The first girls basketball 1,000-point scorer, Kristen Mulholland, will be, there to donate her 1,000-point game ball to the alumni room. So that just makes it even more special.
Hopefully that milestone is hit at home, or we make sure that it is hit at our home court. And it's looking like, upon further research, the most liked post still on our Instagram at Thunderbolt Sports Talk, at TB Sports Media, is still the girls basketball 78-7 win versus Woonsocket last year, only to be followed up by the Cranston East versus Shea loss from last year. So that is still taking the cake. They got another win against Woonsocket this week. But that wasn't the only front where Cranston East was winning games, because our esports team, we got a little taste of it on our last podcast episode, our special Season 1 finale gaming episode. But the Mario Kart team continues to handle business.
The Mario Kart team does continue to handle business indeed. Yesterday, a 2-0 sweep over Classical in Mario Kart 8. Miles Darconti really showing why he is Himothy when it comes to Mario Kart, even though he got third place with 51 points. The rest of the team also stepped up. Jarquez Green, 58 points total. Justin Mazur-Lallier, 52 points. It's a really tough squad to beat, Chaz. I think they're the championship favorites. I think they're undefeated right now, too. which makes it even better. And they really are the top performing team by far in, our school right now. Whether you like it or not, it's a reality.
Well, they're definitely an upper echelon team, and maybe there is some playoffs on the horizon for them. Maybe we can broadcast the esports playoffs on the NFHS network or something. Who knows? That'd be an exciting thing to watch some Rocket League and Mario Kart and I guess League of Legends if we have to.
Yeah. And I think we might have had the chance to commentate Super Smash Bros., but I think that is in the fall, I believe, or spring. So, obviously the chance to commentate anything is a fun time in the Interscholastic League. And, if you wanted me to commentate Mario Kart, yeah, I'd commentate Mario Kart. But, Chaz, let's transition to our next topic.
Well, if you guys didn't listen over last week, I know it was a long episode with 161 minutes of Thunderbolt Sports Talk coming to you with plenty of video games being played. The main highlight of it definitely being the Madden game that we faced off with our Super Bowl picks. The 49ers took on the Ravens. That potential Super Bowl matchup is still on the board in the NFL playoffs, but in the Madden world, the San Francisco 49ers won the game on a game-winning field goal, and of course they did because it was me controlling the 49ers, taking down Tim Yeen's Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I have to blame the loss on myself because, it was a different playbook, and obviously, I'm not really a user of a Ravens playbook, so obviously it's just my fault there that I'm just using it in the first place. I mean, just trying to portray realism, but other than that, I just had a really hard time stopping the defensive line of San Francisco. Couldn't generate a lot of pressure with my defensive line, and in the end, I just made some horrific reads that really turned the game over. In reality, I think this is the most realistic Super Bowl matchup we have. 49ers versus Lions, Ravens versus Chiefs. So, two interesting battles, should be two exciting ones at that. And, that field goal really, really humbled me a little bit. So I decided to run it back a game with Chaz.
I don't remember that happening, but there was a highlight posted onto the Instagram profile of Tim Yeen's last moments of success in that game. And you can tune in on our YouTube, Thunderbolt Sports Talk. It should be the first result when you look it up on the YouTube. And you'll see if you scroll over to the timestamp for Madden, check out the ending moments of that game where I kind of take things over. Fred Warner gets blessed up by a terrible read, and things got going. Our Super Bowl predictions officially are in the books from us at Thunderbolt Sports Talk. Of course, we will have to adjust should the Lions or Chiefs get a win over the weekend here. And I know the Lions, people were just excited to see them in the playoffs, and now they're one game away from the Super Bowl. Eminem has to be ecstatic right now, Tim.
Yeah, the Lions, really a big underdog story. We knew they would be a playoff contender, but we never knew they'd be at this point right now. I mean, it's a really underrated squad. I mean, you have a running back in Jahmyr Gibbs, who a lot of people thought was a reach. You got Sam Laporta taken in the second round. You got Jared Goff, former number one pick, kind of left in the dust by the Rams. Matt Stafford goes to Detroit, gets beat by his former team, and, that really cements Jared Goff as the guy for Detroit. I mean, he's been the guy for, how long? Amon-Ra St. Brown, fourth round draft pick back in 2021, has really stepped up to become a reliable contributor, has been the top pass catching option for Detroit. Obviously, the weakness there is that defense. The 49ers, with Brock Purdy and the superstar crew, Deebo Samuel, maybe not playing this week. He's half and half right now, as I've heard. Brandon Ayuk still there. Even, Chaz legend Jawan Jennings could make an appearance with a couple of catches here and there. Christian McCaffrey, of course, and Trent Williams on the offensive line could really help bolster it up. Can't forget about George Kittle and that superstar defense. Fred Warner. You got both defensive ends and Nick Bosa, Chase Young. I mean, Nick Bosa, one of the best edge rushers in the league, and that secondary also something out to look out for too. We got some names there, and on paper it seems that San Francisco is clearly a better team. I mean, if Debo's out, then maybe Brandon Ayuk is a little bit on par with Amon-Ra, but but it's gonna be a closer game, Chad. It's gonna be a closer game than most people will think.
Yeah, it'll be all decided over the weekend, and some coaching decisions in the NFL making their way through. The big one is Jim Harbaugh making the jump back to the NFL to coach up the Los Angeles Chargers was definitely one of the better gigs available. I know I heard rumors of Pete Carroll wanting to make his way over to Los Angeles for that job as well. And the big part about all of this for New England fans is Bill Belichick is still without a coaching gig, and it looks like he might not get one this season.
Yeah, I mean, he might not even get one, like you said, Chaz. Atlanta hiring Raheem Morris, the defensive coordinator for the Rams for the past couple of seasons. Now he got the job in Atlanta, and I think the issue for the front office was just really the relationship between the front office and Belichick. Obviously, up in New England, Belichick had control of the front office, had mostly the final say on decisions on rosters and whatnot. And I feel like without that control, Bill Belichick couldn't really make the team that he wanted, even though the team that he does make as of late are pretty bad. But yeah, the last two openings are, I believe, the Seahawks and the Commanders. And from what I've heard, the Commanders are trying to go for Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator. I'm not even sure what the Seahawks are trying to do with their position, but it should be interesting to see how that all unfolds. I don't think, if they interview Bill Belichick, which they haven't yet, I think it'd be a solid fit. I mean, you could work with Sam Howell, or you could draft a quarterback. You're more likely to go the quarterback route, but it's really interesting to see what Bill Belichick does if he doesn't, get hired. Maybe he's on Thunderbolt Sports Talk in a couple of weeks.
I'm pretty sure he'd ask for money if we ever were able to get him on the program. I don't know if he's doing that for free, especially in his free time. In all of this coaching turnover and hirings, it's looking more and more likely that Josh McDaniels might be back in the blue and red on the sideline of New England, being the offensive coordinator for the Patriots, and I don't know if that's really what we want to be seeing in 2024.
Wait, who'd you say?
Josh McDaniels returning to the Patriots sideline.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels. We heard reports that he'd work with only Bill Belichick, if he got the job in Atlanta. Obviously, he didn't get the job in Atlanta, so it opens things up for McDaniels, I guess, or closes things down. But I think the problem with hiring McDaniels is I feel just the power hierarchy of it. I mean, Josh McDaniels has been the head coach 2 separate times, has been the offensive coordinator with New England for, a lot longer than the 2 teams he was tenured with when he was head coach. Maybe could have been a third with the Colts, but, he backed out of that. I think the power thing is really an issue. I mean, McDaniels obviously sees himself as a long-time guy in New England. So I feel like the mesh between him and Gerard Mayo, could be something to look at. But, I mean, if it works out, it works out. I mean, the only person that the Patriots have left to interview for the job, or they have interviewed for the job, excluding Zach Robinson, who's rumored to be the favorite for the Atlanta OC opening, is Nick Caley, who had coached in New England as the tight ends coach, I believe, and is the tight ends coach or passing game coordinator or whatever in LA. So that could be an interesting hire. But Josh McDaniels, if he does come back to New England, it should be interesting to see how he and Gerard Mayo work together.
Yeah, there's still Mike Vrabel available in some role. You wonder what Mike Vrabel wants to do after being let go by the Titans. There's plenty of options out there, but big one really in all of this has been Jim Harbaugh. It was questionable if he'd make the jump after winning the national championship with Michigan, and he did to the Chargers. Were you expecting Harbaugh to accept an NFL job?
I think the story that the media has provided just really cemented the fact that Jim Harbaugh was looking for an NFL job after, his championship season. His goal was to win a natty for Michigan. He did that, and now he brings it back to a new level. It's been rumored, for a while that Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers were connected somewhat, and now it's official. So I feel like it's kind of, I wouldn't say I'm surprised, more so, just now proud of, I'm just, I wouldn't say relieved either, but I'm just happy that we know the facts now and Jim Harbaugh's the coach.
Let's move on to Cranston East again, back to the East, but not on the sports side. On the school side, we have plenty going on for the start of second semester. Me and Tim starting up internships with the Fans Only Sports Network, getting to broadcast sports more often and have more time to prepare for games. Tim, in our first week of the second semester, what have your thoughts been?
It's going good so far. I've been able to research more. I've been able to get more stuff done. I've been able to, just do a lot more things that I wasn't able to do with a regular schedule. In fact, I have a game coming up later. Smithfield playing here at East. Boys basketball, 6:30. Make sure you watch on the Fans Only Sports Network. Should be an exciting one again. Got more time to research about the players. Got more time to research about, people in general. And, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, I'll be in action over in Smithfield for LaSalle taking on Mount St. Charles in boys ice hockey. Locked behind a paywall, so you know how that goes. But
Yeah, you can pay $75 for it.
yeah, it's a special deal right now, pal. $20 a game, though. Not bad. Not bad. It's the FAFSA raffle season because college and that whole process is on the downturn, kind of. I mean, most of applications have closed. Now we're on to financial aid. The FAFSA finally opened on New Year's Eve to much server issues and all that. But now it's kind of steady. Tim, have you filled out your FAFSA and entered into the FAFSA raffle?
Filled out all my stuff. Just gotta work with the parents on that. So, yeah.
Okay, so yours is not done, but mine is, and it's entered into the raffle. I'm planning on winning some Amazon gift cards, and anyone listening who is also a student can enter if you filled out your FAFSA as a senior. Just forward in your confirmation email after completing the FAFSA to Leslie Conley, the guidance counselor, lconley@cpsed.net. And now let's move on to something that is directly on our minds because, like always, it's coming up next period, Tim. Of course, that's our ELA class with Mr. Smith, AP ELA 12. And we've been reading Lord of the Flies recently. We had to read a chapter at home. I'm sure you did, Tim.
Yep, read chapter 7 at 11 p.m.
Oh, wow, nice.
Obviously, the
All that
information
time,
is fresh on my mind.
Nice. Well, it was a big chapter for the book somewhat.
Yeah.
I don't think, if you're listening, I guess we're spoiling it for you. That's too bad. But we got to talk about it because the monster has been sighted again, this time up close and personal.
Oh wow! I'm acting surprised because
Okay.
this is the reaction that's needed to boost the viewership and for Mr. Smith to be engaged in the podcast, which he watched last week. I talked to him in the hallway. He said, hearing Chaz talk to himself was not the funnest thing.
Yeah, well, I don't know what happened with your mic. So
Yeah. All right. I mean, it's whatever.
you can hear yourself if you turn them up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did he watch with the video at least? He had to have.
I hope he did.
He had to have.
I hope he did. Otherwise, it would make a really fun podcast.
I don't think so. I mean,
2 hour, like over 2 hours without, video.
well, who knows? But your surprise kind of scares me. But all right. So, yeah. Well,
I think they try to. Did they try and stab Roger? Or at least fake stab him?
yeah. I guess. I mean, they were doing the pig thing again.
Yeah.
But all I'm hoping for is a big death in this book. We've had one kid die, and it was some no-name character that wasn't even deserving of an actual title. So, we need a named character dead, and we need him dead soon because, things are probably heating up. We're approaching chapter 8, and hopefully we start to see some kids dying here because it's taken a while to get into the real action.
Yeah,
You
sure.
agree? Yeah, okay, great.
Sure, I agree, Chaz. I mean, we're halfway through the book and not one kid has died yet. So I think right
All
now.
well,
would
come
be,
on. There was that little kid with the scar on his face or whatever
Yeah, and
down the mountain.
Yeah.
Well, goodbye to you.
Why do we call him the little kid with a scar on his face? Why don't we call him like an actual name, like Johnny or Bartholomew or?
You're not supposed to care about him.
Yeah,
and no
so-
one does. And he's dead.
You
All
know,
right, Tim,
again-
would you survive on this island?
Just by myself, no.
Well, if you're part of the group.
Probably not.
Oh, nice. Well, me personally, I think I'm taking over the lead in this if I'm on that island.
How so?
What do you mean? How so?
How so?
I'm telling Ralph and I'm telling Jack to step aside because
And-
Chasnaman 43 has shown up on the island
Okay.
and it's over for
Is,
them.
is this going to be a 12-year-old Chazman 43 or a current, right now, Chazman 43?
Either or. It wouldn't
Either
make
or.
a difference.
12-year-old Chazman 43 would probably get slapped by both of them.
No chance. There is
Yes, chance.
zero chance.
Yes, chance.
CTM would have had him off the island by then.
How are you gonna expect some British, turning into teenager kids, to listen to Mr. the Man 43?
I'll just remind them about 1776, bud.
Yeah, okay. I think that just puts you in a worse situation.
Yeah, well,
You're like an outcast of the an island.
I wouldn't. I mean, they'd see the strong leadership and they'd fall in line. If they planned on leaving the island, which would have happened already, this book would have been about 100 pages if I was in charge.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks for agreeing. All right, moving on now to something that's very near and dear to my heart. The Cranston East hierarchy is fallen once again as Tim Yeen's Miami Heat got smoked bad yesterday on Thursday, January 25th, an 143 to 110 loss to the Boston Celtics. And Jimmy Buckets played 17 points. He stinks. Jason Tatum, all-star starter with 26 points. Tim, your Heat are in the gutter.
You can save all that for the playoffs.
You got to make it there first.
Yeah.
24
We can
and
make it.
21.
We can make it. Eric Spoelstra's teams are always known for sneaking their way in, making the most out of it.
Celtics are 35 and 10. They are 3.5 games up in the Eastern Conference on the Milwaukee Bucks. Miami Heat sitting at 24 and 21, 11 games back of first and in seventh, just ahead of the Orlando Magic. We had all-star starters announced yesterday for the NBA All-Star Game. And Jason Tatum's in the starting lineup,
Okay.
along with Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, both players on the Milwaukee Bucks. We also heard that Thanasis Antetokounmpo got 3 votes
3 votes.
as to be a starter from his fellow NBA peers. I wonder if Giannis is one of those 3.
Mm-hmm.
Joining the All-Star starters for the East Side is Joel Embiid and Tyrese Halliburton.
Mm-hmm.
Do we see any snubs on the East Side? I see no Miami Heat representation, but
I mean, we don't.
To be
I mean,
expected.
does it really matter about the All Stars? You know, I'm not really worried about vote tallies or All Stars or whatnot. At the end of the day, you gotta get the NBA Finals trophy. If that's really all that matters. We're not in season tourney frauds. We're not All Star frauds. We are playoff masters.
wow. You're not in-season tournament frauds because you lost. You're not all-star frauds because you're not starting in it. And Damian Lillard starts over Jalen Brunson. That's one of the big complaints.
Yeah, that's really it.
No Steph Curry
I mean,
in the starting lineup, but, maybe just a changing of the times. The Splash Brothers days are over.
yeah.
With Luka Doncic, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being your starting 5 on the West Side.
Mm-hmm.
Shea is the young talent for the Oklahoma City Thunder that love young talent,
Yeah.
just like Josh Giddey as
Whoa.
Luka
Whoa.
Doncic. Yeah, so Curry's not starting. That's another big one. But yeah, people definitely are wondering about Jalen Brunson here.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean, one.
We'll see about the reserves and stuff.
Yeah.
But, another big thing in the NBA was the trade of Kyle Lowry over to Charlotte for Terry Rozier, who's really putting in the pain for your Miami Heat, isn't he? In that great game against the Boston Celtics where they got 30-piece tragic style by the Celtics yesterday. Terry Rozier, what was he doing? He had 7 points. Nice. How you liking this trade so far, Tim?
We're 2 games into the trade. Not worried. Not worried at all.
Not worried. Okay.
Yeah. I want to go back to the All-Star games, though, or at least the All-Star, one of the couple of the starters. Mainly on the Eastern Conference side. Joel Embiid had that 70-piece a couple nights ago versus San Antonio, where Coach Popovich was like, we're going to shut him down. And then he proceeded to let Embiid drop 70 over Victor Wembanyama and had 21 free throws again. So obviously he's not going to run away from the flop merchant name sooner or later. But good for him, man. 70 points.
Also, on that exact same day, Karl Anthony Towns had a career performance in a loss. Very nice to drop 62 points on 21 for 35 shooting. And his coach kind of just did not give him any props after the game. And
I mean, yeah.
they did lose, and despite his 62 points, it kind of feels like when Devin Booker put up 70 against the Celtics just to get another loss handed to the Suns back a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean, the main goal of the game of anything really is to win, So obviously I can connect with a coach when somebody drops 60 and you guys still lose. Like what? Like what's happening? So that's where I kind of relate to Mr. Chris Finch of the Timberwolves there. If you're going to drop 60, at least get the win with the team. So, I think they were more focused on the points rather than beating the Charlotte Hornets.
There's been plenty going on in the NBA.
Yeah.
With Doc Rivers being the next head coach of Milwaukee.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume Adrian Griffin was not one of the couple that voted for Thanasis. Giannis is his brother. I mean, what does he really do? Giannis' brother. I mean, he goes on the court, plays plays the worst basketball, plays worse than G League level basketball, and still remains on the roster. He doesn't even provide any like inspirational speeches or whatever. I mean, have you ever seen any promotional videos of Thanasis Antetokounmpo firing up a second place Bucks squad to play defense and to say screw the coach for trying to cut me? No. So yeah, I mean, if that's really the reason, or if Adrian Griffin really is a bad coach when it comes to coaching the guys and relating to the guys, keeping control of the locker room, I guess that is a reason to fire him. But when you're 30-13, second place in the Eastern Conference, you really shouldn't be too mad about him.
Yeah, well, they pulled Doc Rivers from television, got him back into the coaching bubble of the NBA, and quickly an exciting hire for the Bucks, who look to keep rolling as second in the East. Yeah, Adrian Griffin fired while being the second best team and holding a pretty fine record. I mean, come on. But we haven't heard much about the real specifics on there yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, apparently he just lost control of the locker room. I'm not sure what losing control of the locker room means when you're 30-13 and winning. But, maybe he lost control over Thanasis Antetokounmpo, who, now with Doc Rivers being hired, he can finally show the D1 All-Star caliber player he finally is at. How old is Thanasis Antetokounmpo? Let me search it up.
Right 31 years old.
Yeah, at 31 years old, he can finally show his true skill.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll see what Doc Rivers has when he draws up a play for Thanasis Antetokounmpo. Oh, God. This is our podcast, so I'm going to take the time real quickly to mention it. There's a new published article by me, yours truly, in the Warwick Beacon on the LaSalle Rams taking on the Hendricken Hawks over in Division I boys basketball, a rematch of last year's D1 championship, which LaSalle won, and then the teams rematched in the state championship because the playoff format sucks, and the Hawks won that over at URI last year. So it was a revenge for LaSalle that's been months in the making, and the Rams capitalized on it. Read all about it. WarwickOnline.com. It's over there, and who's counting, but that's the 7th published article. A little pat on the back for myself here. And yeah, go ahead and read that. That's a great article. Another one, this one exclusive to the Warwick Beacon instead of the Cranston Herald, but it's all the same.
Yeah, support local journalism. Support Charlie Adams. Chaz, I have to ask you the burning question. If Thanasis Antetokounmpo was inserted to the game, how many points would he drop?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, against high school talent, I think he would probably fare well. To make the NBA, you have to be such a star player. The worst NBA player is better than the best college player.
Whoa.
So I don't want to hear anyone talking bad about sports players because, they're trash. Oh, you can't say they're trash because they're the best. They're the worst of the best. Let's say a stupid argument. I hate that. But, he'd probably drop about 50. But, yeah, I just hate that argument. You can't talk trash, bro. You can't hate on these NBA players. They're professionals for a reason. They made it here for a reason. Okay? They're not doing their job. I'm a fan. I'm telling you how it is. And they stink right now. Mm-hmm. You think I'm not going to tell Mac Jones he stinks right now? He stinks right now. He's not a starter.
Yeah, Mac Jones is not currently playing against college-level talent right now. He's playing against NFL-level talent. So, what really matters?
I would give Mac Jones away for Caleb Williams, and I think you'd see an immediate boost in the offense of the Patriots. But we'll find out when the Patriots draft Caleb Williams next in about April or whenever the draft is. Let's move on to some baseball talk because Tim's here and he has no idea. Slow off season in the MLB so far. The Sox are not really doing much at all. They're saying they were going full throttle at the start of the offseason. Now they've done absolutely nothing besides overpay Lucas Giolito. And apparently now the plan is to take a kind of gap year and continue to follow the Chaim Bloom method, which would be great if you didn't already fire Chaim Bloom to start the offseason. We got Craig Breslow in just to do the exact same thing that Chaim Bloom was already doing and pretty much doing it well. But okay, whatever. Tim, how are your D-backs doing this offseason? Nope, you don't know? All right, moving on. Oh, you prepared?
No.
Oh, okay. Moving on, the NFL playoffs, we touched on it slightly, but let's get some official predictions in for our AFC and NFC championship games as the Ravens are taking on the Chiefs in the AFC championship. And I'll go first. My pick for that game, it's the Ravens. You know, Ravens look unstoppable. They kind of seem like a team that could build up over years and become a dynasty really quickly here. If they get to the Super Bowl, they could win one here and then keep it rolling. They have some good talent. Lamar's locked up for a while.
Yeah. I mean, if they do win, I feel like it's going to be a close one because I feel like Kansas City, man. I mean, they won over Buffalo last week by wide right. You know, I feel like Kansas City might be turning into the team that always finds their way into the AFC Championship, just like our beloved Patriots did. So I feel like it's more of a coin flip that game, but I wouldn't be mad at it. I would be happy at a Baltimore blowout over Kansas City because I do not like the Chiefs.
Chiefs are seemingly universally hated unless you're talking about Jason Kelsey rooting on the Chiefs.
Yeah.
That's just the way it's gone as of late. On the other side of things, we have the... Did I just say the NFC team? Oh, no.
What?
Hold on. It's because I looked up AFC and NFC, and the first result is a geographical NFC and AFC. Why? All right. On the NFC side, we have the Lions, and they're going to be taking on the 49ers, as we mentioned earlier. And as much as I'd like to say the Lions are going to win this one might not be close because the Lions kind of got lucky after the Buccaneers upset in the first round. They got to face Baker Mayfield instead of a strong team. So they kind of had a pretty easy route to the NFC Championship, but I think their story ends here.
Like I said, this game is going to be closer than what most people think. The entire story of the Lions is that they have been underdogs, and whenever they're put in that position, they overachieve. I feel like they're going to overachieve here, but, you know, I think I have to agree with the majority that San Francisco is likely going to take it to the Super Bowl. We're going to have a rematch of Niners-Ravens. So that's really the gist of it. Jared Goff is going to have a pretty good game. He's going to find his way, you know, trying to beat the Cam Newton system quarterback allegations from a while back ago. Yeah, so Goff Purdy should be an interesting matchup.
And let's move on now. Let's touch on it for a second. The Raiders actually hiring an interim head coach after not doing it the first time. Okay. After the Josh McDaniels failure, they learned from their mistakes, I guess. Congrats. We have a new layout for season 2. As you can see, a little photograph, a little Polaroid action on the cover. Just a little new look to freshen up things here in our second season. And let's go back to the NBA for a second because yesterday, Stephen Curry, while mic'd up, hinted at a potential three-point shootout at All-Star Weekend against WNBA's Sabrina Ionescu. How excited are you for that, Tim?
Yeah, it should be exciting to watch. I mean, you know, top three-point shooter versus top three-point shooter. Should be interesting. And, you know, even if Ionescu, you know, if Ionescu does win, we'll put more respect for, you know, women's basketball. So that'll be obviously great for the sport. You know, or, you know, even if she's like competitive with Steph Curry, she's definitely gonna help boost some ratings for the WNBA.
Well, she holds the all-time record for most points scored in a round at a three-point contest over Steph Curry after she scored 37 points in July's WNBA three-point contest. And of course, Curry is known as one of the greatest three-point shooters of all time and the leader, taking over Ray Allen a while back now. And yeah, that's how that is shaping up for All-Star Weekend. And on the college hoops level, we have Caitlin Clark, who, after the game, I know Iowa was upset in a shocking loss, and fans stormed the court, and Caitlin Clark looked like she flopped after the game, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the clip of it. It looked like she might have gotten decked. But, you know, I mean, we should be bumping into people, especially basketball players. That's my take on it. Don't bump into people that play the game and potentially get injured. So,
Yeah, it upset the Iowa head coach as well. And, you know, as the sports have moved on to the modern age, we're getting bigger and bigger money TV deals, but now we're dipping our toes into sports getting streaming deals for their shows and all this. Specifically, WWE's Monday Night Raw getting a $5 billion deal for 10 years of being broadcasted on Netflix. And that's a big deal. You know, it could be a landmark decision there to start shifting the trend of cable TV and moving things over to streaming platforms here.
yeah, looks like cable TV continues to see a loss in people wanting to watch cable TV. I mean, the only thing on now is cable news, shows, not particularly exciting shows, reruns of movies, and that's really it. All the sports, most of the sports are, you know, moving to the streaming platforms. We've seen the wild card weekend thing for Peacock, NHL on ESPN Plus. You know, get that weekly matchup, but you know, most of the games are on ESPN Plus. Yeah.
And before we sign off, be remiss to not mention the Baseball Hall of Fame announcement with Adrian Beltre, Todd Helton, and Joe Mauer being elected to the Hall. 5 votes away was Billy Wagner. He still has 1 year left of eligibility. Hopefully he gets over the hump next year and makes his way into the Hall of Fame. Tim, what are your thoughts on this new class for the Baseball Hall of Fame?
Yeah, it's cool.
There's also Jim Leland getting in on the Veterans Committee. So plenty of fun action over in Cooperstown, a great place to visit for any sports fan.
Yeah, you know, maybe in 50 years you'll be on the ballot, Charlie.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know what my route to the Hall would be, but all right. Speaking of route, let's talk about a wide receiver that is well known in New England and made headlines recently. Kayshon Boutte, who suited up for the Patriots all season, didn't do much. Loki had higher expectations for him,
Yeah.
but seems like he was doing a lot over at LSU besides being a good target for them, Tim.
He has gambled, Jazz, under 21. Ex-LSU football star was arrested for 8,900 illegal bets and even more. Louisiana police arrested the LSU starting current Patriots wide receiver for sports betting violations. He last played it from 2020 to 2022. He was drafted by the Pats in 2023. Allegedly placed 8,900 plus bets between 2022 of April and May 2023, including on at least 17 NCAA football games, 6 LSU football games before turning 21. Jazz. I mean, the NFL hasn't commented on it yet, but at least it wasn't. I don't know. You can't say it wasn't. I can't say at least it wasn't NFL. I mean, the NFL has had no comment on this, but with the allegation, I mean, with the violations of him gambling either way, and the fact that he really doesn't get much playing time in New England anyway, it's likely we see the last of Keishon Boutte here unless things change or philosophies change or nothing's done at all, and he just stays on the team to, to have one foot out of bounds again.
I don't know. I mean, if he was betting on NFL games while he was an NFL player, that might be different. But
Yeah.
if it was only on the college level, I don't know if the NFL has any need to do anything about it. You saw how they handled Calvin Ridley while he was injured in betting, and don't think this is a similar situation. Before we sign off, we got to mention about the Northeastern women's hockey team. They took home the Beanpot over at TD Garden, and they still won't get back to me. So please hurry up so I can make my college decision.
Was this topic entirely just because you wanted to hear back from Northeastern sooner?
I don't know, man. You just got to mention it's a big part of New England sports. The Beanpot's always a classic and always a big event over at the Garden. And our last thing before we sign off, we got to mention the winningest pup in college sports, Uga X. Uga the 10th. No longer with us.
Yeah, he's up there in dog heaven now. So rest in peace.
We'll see what Uga 11 brings to Georgia and George Kirby and all them. Or that's not the name.
What?
George Kirby is not the coach.
Kirby Smart?
Yeah, George Kirby is a reliever for the Seattle Mariners.
I mean, once Nick Saban retired, Uga X just decided to go away. Pretty surprising.
Yeah, well, that's just how it goes, 46 minutes, approaching 47, Tim. Episode 1 of Season 2 in the books. Maybe we'll get a guest on sometime soon here.
Maybe.
But for now, sign us off, Tim.
You're not even the thought, Chaz.